Oh, wow. All right, cool. Well, we got my amazing friend, superwoman, female business entrepreneur, Josie Williams.
It's quite the intro, Abe.
All around badass. I left that out too.
I'll take it.
If anybody's ever seen a big Escalade driving downtown with BlackPoint Funding on the side of it, and maybe like 10 dogs inside with their tongues out the window.
10 dogs, just 2 dogs.
10.
All the dogs are welcome, all of them. All kinds, little, small, big, all of them. Short hair, long hair. I love dogs.
Yeah, you do love dogs. So Josie Williams, BlackPoint Funding, we wanted to introduce you. Tell us about yourself and all the cool stuff that you do. Where are you from? Let's start there.
I'm from Memphis, Tennessee.
Okay, cool. You're the only 10 I see.
If I had $1 for every time, we'd double the size of this funding company, you know. Wouldn't need capital sources.
There you go. So you have a pre-settlement funding company. Your company loans money to people who are injured in a car accident or personal injury type of situation and need a cash advance to either help them out with their medical bills ahead of time or put money in their pocket. Maybe they can't pay rent because they were set back with not being able to work. Maybe they need money for the deductible to fix their car. Certain situations like that, you guys do pre-settlement funding.
Yes, sir. A lot of the times we're assisting families that are really in need. Sometimes they're left without a car or their motorcycle, it might be, and they're unable to work. Some people do manual labor and have to be able to lift 50-pound boxes just to perform their daily task. And due to their injuries, whether it's post-operative or, pre-surgical, they're just not able to perform their daily tasks. So it takes a financial toll on them. Basically, BlackPoint comes in to kind of bridge the gap between what's going on with their injuries and when the law firm is able to get them a settlement. And oftentimes, the clients are maybe hesitant to have the procedure because they're not able to take off from work while they recover. Maybe it's 4 to 6 weeks that the surgeon has recommended, and they just can't go without earning a living for 4 to 6 weeks while the law firm works on, getting them the best settlement possible. So we're here to help bridge that gap and, take care of those in need.
Cool. And so how'd you get into this pre-settlement funding business? What did you do before? How did you pivot into this business?
So my background being marketing and personal injury, it was a good fit. Worked for some powerhouse firms in South Florida before. Grateful for the knowledge that I obtained from them and the network that I was able to build throughout the state, and I saw a need for it. Yes, there is, financial gain in it for me, but I really liked the ability to truly be able to help someone, and it makes me feel good knowing, I've got several stories that are, touching, that are heart-touching, that make me feel good knowing that I've, hustled throughout the day to make it happen in a timely crunch, and maybe we were able to keep the lights on for someone. I've had families saying, my kids are going to come home from school, I don't want the lights to be off, or it's a holiday meal and we don't have food to put on the table. So I try to stay active throughout the community and do what I can to help, not just on an individual basis. Of course, it's good branding for the business, but it's good karma.
Yeah. And so you are the total package when it comes to marketing. You are everywhere. You're like God. That's called omnipresence.
I don't know about that.
You are everywhere.
I'm hustling. There's quite a few miles on that Escalade.
Yeah.
Maybe I upgrade it to a helicopter at some point. We'll see.
There you go. Grant Cardone style, 2 helicopters.
Yes.
What does he need 2 helicopters
with you with the plane? I don't know.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I need to get a plane. Okay. So you're everywhere. You all over Fort Lauderdale, big on the networking scene. I've known you now, got to be 10 years, right?
At least.
Yeah, because I've been a lawyer for 12, and so I've probably known you 10 years. We've hung out, we've had fun. You do a ton of business. You are everywhere. Female business owner, but you're just on a totally different level than most business owners altogether. Like,
well, I appreciate
if that makes sense.
I work real hard.
You work super hard. You work hard. I told you this before. I said you're in the top. I said you are the top marketing person when you worked at a personal injury law firm. I said you are the top person in the entire state, maybe the country, in personal injury. I told you that.
This is not a paid advertisement.
And no,
I'm not looking to work for another law firm.
It's because of your drive.
That coming from you means a lot. And
because I work hard too.
I know you work hard, and I've been seeing your 10X. I've been keeping up with you. I was absolutely thrilled to be a guest on your podcast.
And you got the first backdrop. This is the first time we got the backdrop. So you're like,
it's fancy.
You're in like Flynn. Yeah.
I like fancy things.
Yeah.
But I really believe in outworking everyone. My background is not finance. Most of the people who own funding companies come from, some sort of New York or Chicago finance background. Maybe they come from a hedge fund or private equity group. Maybe they were in wealth management or some sort of a financial advisor. They're numbers gurus. My background is PI and marketing, so I understand the business from a different angle, which makes it really easy for me to sit down and talk to an attorney about how I can help better service their clients. Yeah. And being able to market myself doesn't suck either.
Yeah, you're really good. I remember one of my favorite memories of us is going to the, I don't know if we could say his name, but he's a big personal injury lawyer in Orlando.
For a presidential
We drove up.
visit?
Yeah, I don't want to say which presidential because some people probably love or hate whoever this person is. It wasn't Trump though. So we just went up just to hobnob and we drove up. Time. That was fun. You had your massager thing on the chair, like massaged you while you drove me.
That was
and we were with
cool
Chris and Alvaro.
I forgot about that car having that feature. That was pretty cool.
That was cool. I was like, man, I want that. And then we drove up and drove back in the same night. And that was a lot of fun. We got to see the guy. He came in on a helicopter, landed on this guy's front lawn.
Yard.
Yeah.
In Orlando. It was pretty impressive.
Super cool. And then left 45 minutes later. And everyone was like, whoa, that was super cool. But that was fun. And so you're everywhere. And you used to live in Fort Lauderdale.
I've lived all over South Florida. I lived in West Palm for 8 years. Then I moved down to Brickell. I moved to Fort Lauderdale. And I'm currently living in Tampa.
You're one of those cool people who's taken over Tampa.
A lot of people don't realize I've left because I'm down here so much. But it is the Tampa takeover. All the South Florida boys and girls are wanting to come to Tampa. Follow my lead. It's a good spot, I suppose.
I'll tell you this. I've been going to Tampa more frequently now that I see you're there because I'm like, man, there's got to be something going on there. There's got to be business there. I'm going. And so I've been going like once a month. I go to Tampa now. So Tampa's a really nice area too. It's very... I don't know. It's a different vibe than South Florida. South Florida has become so hectic just to go out.
There's still traffic there, but it's not as congested. I feel like they're never going to finish working on 95 down here, but I do enjoy it. That coast has absolutely beautiful sunsets. I enjoy walking my crazy little dogs down by the Riverwalk. The city spent a lot of money rebuilding that area. There used to be a lot of crime. It just was a really rough area downtown, down by Armature Works, all the way through the stadium.
Okay.
And they've cleaned it up where they've brought life back to the city. You see families walking around, exercising on the weekends, having picnics, sunset cocktails. It's just a nice spot to be. It's a good quality of life. I enjoy it.
Yeah, it's nice out there. My wife and I went with the kids to the Marriott, and then they just opened the JW Marriott right there, which looks beautiful.
Right across the street on the river. It's beautiful. Right by the bay.
Nice. Yeah, super nice over there. So
they call it the waterfront over there.
Is that the waterfront?
Marriott waterfront.
The Florida bar, they make lawyers do the Florida bar there. I don't know who owes, like, who's got the contract, who's getting the kickback.
Somebody's shaking hands with somebody
for the Tampa Convention
Marriott.
Center. Yeah, I'm telling you, it's like, why did they pick that place? It's not Orlando, which is where everything should be. I mean, Orlando should be the capital of Florida. It's dead center. But maybe you don't agree with that. But I had to go there. So every time I go there, I'm like, oh, I took the bar there. That's all I know about Tampa. But I've been going more frequently.
Well, next time you come, I can give you some good restaurant recommendations.
Ocean Prime.
Excellent.
Oh, my God.
Excellent. They used to have one in Brickell a long time ago, and I was so excited to see that they had one in Tampa. Great meal there.
It's great. They do the dry ice on the shellfish towers,
I
which
know
was
you're
sick.
a huge fan of the seafood towers.
Shellfish towers and happy hours. Yes, it was fun.
I visited one of your Fort Myers MRI facility. One of your reps invited me.
Oh, yeah, you went to that.
And I went to one of their
forgot I'm wearing makeup.
Seafood tower events. It was wonderful.
Yeah, I do love it. I wasn't there, but I heard about the seafood tower. I got some photos. It was good. Yeah, that place, I haven't been there. I'm gonna start. I go to Fort Myers regularly. I just missed that one event, but yeah. Thanks for the plug on the MRI Center. Thank you.
It's your girl looking out for you at all times.
I told you you're a badass marketer. You see, you always get the plug in. So, speaking of plugs, tell me what was your biggest funding story? What was the most amount of money you guys funded and why?
I had a boutique law firm reach out to me. He happens to be a dear friend of mine that I worked with in a previous life at a large law firm in Palm Beach County. And he had a client that had special needs. This particular individual, this lady, she had pre-existing conditions that were just too extreme, and she had some health issues where it just was not safe for her to have the procedure done at an outpatient facility. The outpatient facilities will take an LOP and the hospitals will not. So basically, the attorney reached out to me and said, look, my client can't get the level of care she needs. She doesn't have health insurance. There's really nothing we can do. She can't get the surgery done unless it's in a hospital. Is that something that you could fund? And I said, absolutely. I'm more than happy to take care of that. Those are really big cases for me. I don't get very many of them. They're far and few between because it is more cost effective to have it done at the outpatient facility where they will take a LOP instead of paying a hospital and an anesthesiologist group in full up front and tacking, application processing, underwriting, and the time on. So I did that and took care of him. The woman was able to get the care that she needed, and when the case settled, squared away just like any other case, but the average is about $2,000. That one happened to be a $64,000 advance.
Whoa, big money.
It was a big one. It was a good, cash out at the end of the day, but I know that I helped her get the level of care that she would not have been able to get without it.
Yeah, and this is non-recourse financing, right? So you guys are able to charge a higher interest rate. One, you're able to charge it, but two, you charge it because it's a high risk. It
is high risk. There's no credit check involved. Their case is their credit. Some of these cases, liability might not be confirmed. It could be a premises liability, slip and fall, trip and fall, you name it. It's a little more cut and dry with an auto accident where we know the vehicle one's at fault. I mean, maybe there's some shared liability in the mix, but most of the time, no. We know what the policy limit is available, how many passengers are involved, whether the PIP benefits have been exhausted, and what's left for the remaining medical care. It's not always like that with every case, and non-recourse, in case there's anyone watching the podcast right now, it is high risk for a funding company, whether you're large or small. If I'm putting a lot of trust and confidence into the law firm for them to analyze the case and for us to look at the risk together. If you lose the case, I don't get paid back.
Yeah, or if the case doesn't settle for the $2,000 you loan or the $1,000 you loan.
It does happen from time to time. Sometimes clients are recommended for a surgical procedure and they get scared and they decide not to have it. I hate to use the term value driver, but the defense insurance companies are certainly looking at that as a value driver for the case with or without surgery. And, what the case is worth to them might not be the same without it.
Right.
And I'm kind of counting on that progression line. And if it doesn't occur in a timely fashion or occur at all, I kind of get caught holding the bag. So I'm really careful with what I do and don't approve. And, make sure that it's not overstretching the boundaries too. I've had several attorneys tell me, hey, my client worked with this no name mentioned funding company. They overextended to the client. I don't know why they gave him $5,000 on a 1020 policy. I said they must have been confused. If the stars magically align, they're walking with, around $3,000 if you max out the whole deal. So I hear these horror stories from time to time, and it does happen.
You brought up a great case. I had this case with a guy, client from hell. He comes to me. He's in a car accident. He's screaming. His life is over. He's done for. He's ruined. I get photos of the property damage, and there's none. And then he's trying to say that he got rear-ended, but he's trying to say it's a 360 damage to the car because he got a light impact. And he's like, the sunroof doesn't stay on anymore. And I'm like, dude, you had a little dent in your bumper. There's no way it impacted the frame of your car so much that your sunroof is now warped. And anyways, he ended up, he did have a slap tear in his shoulder from the accident. And we were representing him. He was happy with everything, whatever. Then he says, hey, I have another case with another lawyer from 3 months before this.
Imagine that.
And I was like, oh, maybe that's why you're so hurt. And his car, in that case, was completely demolished. And he never complained about shoulder pain prior to the accident that I was representing him for with all those medical records, which was actually helpful to show that his slap tear was from this accident, not the prior, because he never complained about it for 3 months. But he says that lawyer just got arrested for paying tow truck drivers to refer clients. And we all know the guys, like a couple years ago, it was like 5 or 6 guys. They all got popped, and they were paying a tow truck company in Broward a bunch of kickbacks to refer them out for the cases. And in this particular case, it was even worse because not only was the client picked up by that particular tow company,
goodness,
but the lawyer was actually at the tow yard in the driveway.
More darkness on this case.
Was actually
we know who
there.
These guys were, but
yeah,
hopefully they've learned their lesson, and maybe they'll be eligible to sit for the bar at some point. I don't know.
Not on my not on my watch.
I don't know. I don't wish harm on anybody, but
yeah, this guy's since retired anyways. But he was at the driveway of the tow yard and signed him up and gave him a $5,000 cash advance with a funding company that I've never heard of. A $5,000 cash advance, and he only had a like a 1020.
Oh my!
Or maybe it was a 2550, which is 10 is the max per person, 25 is the max per person, depending on the policy. And I'm like, how in the hell did he get a $5,000 cash advance? And so that case, we actually took the case over when the other lawyer lost his license, and we litigated the case. And it was like I said, the case from hell. The insurance company was like, hey, you were with this tow truck company, and
sounds
the lawyer,
like a nightmare all around.
Yeah, it was terrible. And we finally, a month ago, this was in litigation for years, we settled it, but then we had to interplead the funds because the loan was so high and the medical bills were ridiculous. And I was like,
charity work at the end of the day?
It was totally charity work. Yeah, it was bad.
And then some?
And
How
then
many gray
some.
hairs did you get from that?
I got a lot. And then every day it was, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And I'm like, what do you want me to do? He basically got paid in advance before everybody. But yeah, some funding companies, I don't know if they just have like hedge fund money and they just throw it out to people.
I believe they're backed by hedge funds. Let's just make up a number. They've got to move $25 million a month.
Oh,
and
okay.
That's big money. They know some of them are going to be losers. I don't want losers. I want to reject the losers. They can have the losers.
They can have them.
They can have them. But I believe they've got to move so much money that they're just looking for a certain ROI for their capital groups, their financial gurus, their wealth management firms, and it just trickles all the way down.
Yeah.
And they've got happy clients that are getting, whatever return it is, 15% for this guy, 10% for this guy, 5% for this guy, and so on and so on.
Okay.
All the way down to the banker.
So yeah, there was a movie with Eddie Murphy where he had to spend X amount of dollars within 30 days in order to get this huge amount of money, and he couldn't do it, and it was impossible. But this was like the 70s or the 80s when it was, a car was probably $10,000. How do you spend that kind of money? And I guess people figured it out. They made hedge funds and give it to do pre-settlement funding against you. But they're all going to lose. You know why? Because you're a badass. Because you're a badass. There's no other way around it.
Let me ask you a question. If you had Eddie Murphy's extra mil today to burn, you couldn't spend it on real estate, but you could spend it on just about anything else. What would you blow it on?
It's not an investment. It's just
Not
blow
an
$1 million.
Blow it. What would you blow it on?
I would donate it to charity.
Look at you, humanitarian you.
I would open up like a puppy shelter. I know you love dogs.
Their hearts are melting. They're like, look at that Abe.
No, I need
He's
that.
such a do-gooder.
My wife got
Ratings
a
are just going
beautiful
through the roof.
right now. My wife got a beautiful little Yorkie for the pandemic, a pandemic puppy, in March.
I got my puppy in the pandemic too.
My wife bought the puppy, not shop. She shopped. She didn't adopt. And there was a person that we all know, I don't want to mention any names on here, was like, what shelter did you get her from? It's like knowing that she's a pure breed Yorkie or whatever. And I'm like, I'm not going to respond to that. And then all the other dog lovers popped in too. Yeah, what shelter? Tell us. We would love to get a little Yorkie like that. And I was like, oh no. It's like, I'm in trouble. I pissed off the wrong crowd in this industry.
So one of my dogs is a rescue, Toodles. She's
Okay.
a rat terrier. She'll be 7 in September. But Bandit, my little pup,
He came from a lady in Boca, the Pomeranian.
Josie.
I know. And I'm always like, adopt, don't shop. Let's do a fundraiser for the Peggy Adams. Let's do one for
That's in West Palm.
Tri-County.
I went to that
West
before.
Palm, or
Yeah.
either Tri-County Animal. I did that in Boca once. So
Make a donation. Listen, you're entitled to get.
Came from there.
Yeah, you're entitled to get what you want. But if I had $1 million,
what would you blow it on? Got to blow it.
I don't know. This is a tough question. Shit, I'm supposed to be asking you questions. What would you spend it on?
Oh, it just got me wondering. I'd buy a Midnight Express. I wouldn't even think
The
about
boat?
it twice. Yes.
Yeah, a boat is
I go
nice.
straight to the dealership.
You couldn't get a plane anymore. Planes are through the roof right now.
I could get me a Midnight Express.
Those are like $500,000, I think.
I would get a really nice one.
Yeah, wow. I guess.
I don't really know what the MSRP is right now. I'm not exactly in the market for a Midnight Express, but if I had to blow it, that's
Yeah.
what I would do it on.
I would buy a scuba diving shop because that's just like blowing money anyways. Those people don't make money, scuba diving shops. Yeah. But I love scuba diving. If I owned a shop, I guess it'd be like a reason for me to go scuba diving all the time. That's what I would do. I'm thinking Legos. I mean, I spend a lot of money on Legos. You see the Legos around here. I spend like $500 a month on Legos sometimes.
It's a big Lego budget.
Yeah. My kids got sick of me. My son goes, I'm not building any more Legos. I need a break. He's built a ton of Legos. He needs a break from Legos. He's 8. Yeah. So I started building some Lego sets. But yeah, man, that's a great question. Shit. That could be like the new question we ask everybody. What would you spend $1 million on
Not
if you
for
had
an
to spend it?
investment.
Not for an investment. I mean, you can't even buy a
BlackPoint
condo.
Question of the day.
Yeah. Ooh, I like that. We're gonna have you do a segment next time.
Be like some sort of sponsor for Legally Exhausted and plug my BlackPoint.
There you go. I love it. Okay, awesome. Anything else? Tell us a story about your most rewarding loan that you've given somebody. I'm sure people have called you and said, "Hey, I really needed this loan. Thank you so much. I was able to do X with it."
From time to time, I do talk to the consumer direct, the individual, the plaintiff that needs the actual cash advance. And sometimes they want to tell me about all of the outside hardships. And unfortunately, I don't want to sound cold, they're not influencing the underwriting decision on the amount that we're comfortable advancing. This particular woman, her case was fairly new. It wasn't a big policy limit. She did have positive findings on her MRI. She had one injection, or she was scheduled for an injection, and it was around Thanksgiving time. And I was having a hard time getting the medical records from this particular law firm. They weren't as organized. They didn't have access to a portal. Some of these MRI facilities give you access to the records.
Our MRI center has a portal now.
Give a shout out to Tesla.
Tesla MRI, baby.
So I didn't have the MRIs, and I'm like, look, without the MRI, without knowing, exactly what's going on with you, I can't even do a $500 cash advance. And she kept telling me, but I'm going to get injections. And I'm like, you telling me that you're going to be scheduled for injections and actually seeing medical documentation are two very different things.
Because that affects the value of a case. A case will settle for more money on average, typically, if there's injections, if the patient receive injections versus not. So that affects your the amount of money you can give.
The ability I'm able to give them. I was able to get these MRI records from this woman. And it was around Thanksgiving time. And she was texting the client line back and forth that she received the contract. I said, let me know if you have any questions. She sent me back completed. Sure enough, I got the notification, and so did the attorney, that she completed. She sent me a text message, are you free for a call? And I thought, maybe she doesn't need the cash advance anymore. And she said, I wanted to personally tell you thank you. You don't know how much this impacted my family. And I'm thinking, $500 really impacted her that much. And as she told me what she was doing with the $500, my heart, she was able to put food on her table. She was a single mother of 2 children. Her sister had 3, and they were all living together in one home. She had $90 left to her name. Her sister had been helping her. They were all living together, and they were able to have a nice meal for Thanksgiving and go grocery shopping.
Wow. You just earned your way into heaven right now.
That made me feel good.
That's awesome.
So for all the people who say it's just about the money, it's not.
Yeah.
Sure, I like to keep the lights on at my home, but it does make you feel good to know that you actually are able to make an impact.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know the service is even available. But
right.
When you're in need, it's not right for all cases. Not all policy limits can handle it, and not everybody needs it.
Right. And so we just had a surgeon on last week, and he was talking about it brings him joy to help people because after a car accident, people don't have a bunch of cash. They might have, we talked about this earlier, they might have to pay a deductible for their car. They might not have been able to work. They probably spent a bunch of money on Ubers. And so it brings him joy. He's passionate about helping people after a car accident, giving them a surgery on a letter of protection that the case ends up resulting in a settlement because he knows that that's an underserved community. There's people out there with devastating back pain, and if they don't have health insurance, what are they going to do? And so we're fortunate and lucky in Florida that we have this ecosystem where doctors, funding companies are allowed to do these things. Because I'm sure in some states they have rules about funding companies and what they could charge and interest, and it might not make it feasible to do funding in a state where you can only charge X percentage.
Some cap,
right?
They have usury laws where they'll cap it. And look, we've got a statute of limitations here in Florida where the cases don't have to wrap up in 1 year.
Right.
So if it goes a year, 2, 3, I have a cost on capital myself. So I can't put myself in a position where I'm advancing funds with overhead and then going into the hole on it. So there are certain states that aren't a good fit for me.
Right. Awesome. So let's say client calls you, hey, I need funding. How fast can you get it to them? If they're
That's a great question.
How do you underwrite them?
So I obtain the information from the law firm. Can't take it from the clients. They could Photoshop whatever they want and send it over so that they could get approved if they were savvy enough. So it comes from the attorney. Once I review the information from the law firm, the underwriting and everything, as long as the attorney has all the medical records that we're requesting on the policy limits, they're giving us access to verification that liability is confirmed, what kind of policy limit we have, what kind of care they've had, maybe a demand has been filed, is it in litigation, what stage, give us some basic information on it. Within 1 hour, if we have all the information, they're approved. We've been using Venmo a lot lately. A lot of people don't have access to bank accounts. And if they do, some people are upside down. Imagine the woman that had $90 to her name. Maybe she had some overdraft fees. 500 or 2,000 could be gobbled up very quickly with overdraft fees, excessive amounts. So we'll use a Venmo. They get it immediately. Also, wires cut off at 3 o'clock. And on the weekends, I can't send them a wire. I'd have to wait till a Monday. So I can do them late in the evening. A lot of attorneys end up getting cases later in the day. Maybe they had prior representation, and this client is coming to a new law firm because their previous firm would not let them have pre-settlement funding.
Yeah, we've faced that situation before. If you can't get me funding, I'm going to go with someone else. They promised me. And sometimes we have to explain to them that it's not appropriate for them to get funding in this situation, Let's say they have $1,000 offer on the table. Do I want them to get $1,000 fund?
Absolutely not.
And obviously, if they, I have another client in a similar situation. She had a $100,000 settlement offer. Her case is worth $300,000, $400,000, $500,000. But she's like, I need money for food. So I totally get, there's opposite ends of the spectrum.
There are also clients that have a $100,000 offer but have $300,000 in medical bills.
Right.
So
which is what
no case, no two cases are the same.
Right. So you guys do a little bit of underwriting. And then if you have a good relationship, a past history with that law firm, that
makes a huge difference.
Easier on the underwriting?
So I do have sometimes that I am a little willing to bend the rules a little bit more because I know the law firm is reputable. I've seen that they've had outstanding results for their clients, great settlements. Someone who's not known for maybe litigating their cases or for getting good results, I'm going to be a little more hesitant because that means it could be problematic when it's time to pay the piper.
Right. And so a lot of times there's a lot of lawyers out there that do personal injury that are not attentive, alcoholics.
Look,
so you gotta protect yourself.
They do personal injury. I used this analogy many years ago when I worked for a law firm, and maybe I'd run into someone and they were talking about their potential case and possibly hiring an attorney, and they said, "Oh, my neighbor's an attorney." I'm like, "Your neighbor handles trust or real estate or family law.
Right.
Maybe they dibble dabble in personal injury. You need to go with someone who specializes in it. It's important to have a firm like yourself handle, someone's case because that's specifically what you zone in on. I used to tell people the analogy is, look, if you were going to have, brain surgery, would you hire the best podiatrist in your neighborhood? He's the best foot surgeon. He's the best surgeon.
Yeah.
Do you want a foot doctor working on your brain? I don't know. That's not what I'm looking for. I mean, that's an interesting metaphor.
Right. No, that's totally accurate. There's a lot of lawyers out there that they're a lawyer, but probably shouldn't be, or they're not that great. Just because you get your law license doesn't mean you should do that area of law. So you do underwrite them, but if you have a good relationship with a law firm or a lawyer, you're more willing to bend the rules a little bit on the underwriting
No two cases
process.
are the same. No two injuries are the same. No two policy limits are the same. And no two law firms are the same.
There you go. On that note, thank you, Josie Williams. We appreciate you. There you go. Thanks, Dennis, for the outro music.
Get money.
This is your song.
I feel like I might have to steal this song. So when I wake up in the morning, it's my motivation to get money.